Be'ez Hashem, Parashas Emer Tovshin Pei Daled. Previous Shir, we started discussing Hishtadlus when it comes to Refuah, health. So, someone asked that if you observe people's behavior when they're trying to help a person that's not well, the person that's sick, especially if it's serious. So you see that people, family members, will do anything for the choile, which includes the amounts of money that's spent, reaching out to any asken worldwide, traveling overseas for months, being in hospitals for weeks and on end. The question is like this: by parnasa, imagine a person would be looking for parnasa, so they would not stop. Call this asken and that asken and schwitz, and you could only chop in 3 a.m. What would be the reaction by the outsider that's looking, that's observing how much ishtada this person is doing for parnasa? He would tell him, you could stop, calm down. The Rebbeinu Shalom gives parnasa. Hashem could help you. You did your shir. It's ribu Hishtadlus. Let's give a case that's even more. You could see it. Imagine a person who's not home for Pesach. Why? He got a job somewhere. He feels that he can make nice money, so he's just not around. Regular guy, has a family. He wasn't home for Pesach. Why? Because he got an offer. He got a very nice offer. Now, people would say he needs to learn a little bit of Choyves Avos, and he has to understand that you're not supposed to do that. If you are supposed to be earning this amount, you're going to get it. It's not called proper Hishtadlus. So why, when there's a family member that's in the hospital over Pesach, is that we say that Hashem could only bring parnasa to my door? Hashem can't bring the Refuah to my door? The Refuah, I have to go to other side of the world? A person has to be in Colombia? Why? Do I believe or don't I believe? Important question. So that forces us to try to analyze, try to understand how this works. The big klal is that Hishtadlus doesn't really ever change the system, how things work. Especially that there are many people, we have to stress it, because there are many people that they feel that there's different shulchan aruchs. Like, if I'm doing it for myself, then I'm not mechuyev in Hishtadlus so much. But if I'm trying to help somebody else, or I'm working to fundraise for tzedakah, let's say, then I'm mechuyev to go all the way out. So people come with this hanocha, people come with this prior understanding that, yeah, sometimes you do ribu Hishtadlus, it just depends. So for parnasa you do, let's say, beinuni Hishtadlus. For somebody else you just kill yourself, and for Refuah also, that's how it goes. Well, it's not true. It doesn't work like that. It's a mistake, and there's many ways to explain it. Well, let's pick to explain this, why it's a mistake. Soon we'll speak about what. Yes, well, let's try to understand why it's a mistake. The Rambam in Hilchos Tshuva, we learned that, let's say, half a year ago or something like that, maybe a year. The Rambam stresses that what is the schar for a person that learns Torah, that keeps the mitzvahs? So the Torah says, "Vasafta deganecha v'siroshcha v'yitzerecha." Your balei are going to have enough food, and you're going to have grass. You can have whatever you need. And we discussed it in land that l'choira, that's the big schar. There's going to be grass in the fichvin for working so hard, for being dovak in the Rebbeinu Shalom. So the Rambam, the Rambam says that's the Yudin Chap. That's not the main point. The main point is you're not going to have to be busy with technicals. You're going to be able to spend your life serving Rebbeinu Shalom, investing your koiches to understand the shtickle Gemara, to steig. You're not going to be wasting days on end just technicals around and around. That's not called being alive. Being alive means utilizing it. And the geschmackste oifen to utilize Olam Hazeh, even Chochmas Chaim, simple is a person could just use all his koiches to serve the Rebbeinu Shalom, all his koiches to sit and steig, and just enjoy it. Now, if a person is busy with technicals to the sense that they can't daven because they're too busy. They're busy with gute Sachen, but they're running around. So many people make this mistake. They feel if I'm busy for somebody else, then that's gewaldig. I'm schwitzing to do a mitzvah. So it gets tricky because they have a point. It's not totally off. I'm running around to try to help a different yid. I'm running around to try to get a asking for my father's health. That's called wasting your time? No, of course not. of course not. Of course. But there's a little sensitive point that we have to analyze and have to chap it. It's never a tachlis to not have your head on straight, running around like a chicken without a head, they say, which you can't daven because you have pizur hanefesh, because you're like hustling and trying and getting frustrated because you were waiting for that doctor, because you were hoping to chap and you were waiting and you didn't chap him. You're off. Even if you were trying to do the right thing, but you're doing the right thing the wrong way. Never that's a mahalach. One of the big yisoides of why that's a mistake, even when you're busy doing gute Sachen, but you're doing it the wrong way. One of the reasons why a person could chap easily that it's a mistake is because Hishtadlus, let's remind ourselves, never works. Even when you have a mitzvah to do Hishtadlus, even when it's the right Hishtadlus, that's not what's making it happen. It's the shefa that the Rebbeinu is sending. It's the tefillah that you are generating shefa. You're generating through a person's davening that they bring down abundance to the world. A person's learning, a person's emunah. That's tachlis. That's metzias. That creates solutions to problems. And it just comes. Then kiyodua. Then the Yeshua just comes by your door. Like the money just lands right next to you. So when a person finds themselves that they're hustling, I mean they're running around, they can't daven, they can't learn, they can't do anything because they don't have peace of mind. That's usually because they feel that they have to make it happen. Even if it's a mitzvah, you can't make it happen. You could do what's right. So a person that's in the right Yeshiva Das, doing things the right way, even when they have a heavy mitzvah, and very, very important, kibbud of aim, of course they get invested in it, but they could daven. Because they understand that, adarabba, if I need to get to that asking, so if I'm going to get up in the morning and daven, and do my learning, the choik, or whatever, the chok, and whatever I do, and I'm going to finish, then that day I'm going to have siyat d'shmai. I pick up the phone, I got the number. If I'm going to be running around before davening, and I'm not going to daven, I'm going to be thinking about ideas. I have to come up with something because I have to come up with something. I'm not going to have siyat d'shmai. I'm wasting my time. So you're losing out twice.
So stories of tzaddikim and pidyon shurim, you see.
That Yeshiva Das. Pidyon shurim you could do. You should. It's a huge mitzvah, the biggest. But they did it with Yeshiva Das. It means they understood that they bring it by davening, and then the tirchas haguf, they're doing what they're supposed to. Imagine if a person, the night of the Seder, they get so busy with the matzah, whatever it is, that they're not here. They can't be with their children. They're not around. Why? But it's so chashuv. Everybody understands that chaval, he's missing the point. It's supposed to be every day to a certain extent. It's supposed to be every day the person chaps. The Davish wants me to be dovuk and him. It means remembering the Rebbeinu Shalom is here. And I don't lose my Yeshiva Das. Okay, it didn't go this way, do the other way. But they're not doing things wild. They don't get wild. When you see a person gets wild, the person's not in a good state. It's not a good matzah. If they scream or if they are frustrated, it means lekatchila, they were in the right matzav. So back to what we're discussing. That's why a person has to chap ribu hishtadlus, whatever that means. A little bit later, we have to b'siyata the shmaya, try to get some clarity. But ribu hishtadlus mostly means the state of mind that the person is doing the hishtadlus. It means when a person presses print, they're trying the printer should work, or enter. So you say that if you press enter 10 times, then it's ribu hishtadlus. Why is it ribu hishtadlus? Because I could bet you that the way he's pressing enter the 10th time, he's pushing very hard. Yeah, you're just running the keyboard. Calm down. Ribu hishtadlus is always wrong, because ribu hishtadlus is like, why are you doing it 10 times? What are you thinking? It doesn't make sense. Even if a person is pressing the enter very slow 10 times, what are you thinking? You're not thinking, so you're not doing anything. You're not doing something that makes sense right now. Ribu hishtadlus is also in kamus, quantity, but it's Ribu hishtadlus is mainly the ikka problem from Ribu hishtadlus is not because the quantity. It's one of the signs that's Ribu hishtadlus. The main problem with Ribu hishtadlus is because the guy, he's still thinking he's going to make it. Would you please stop it? It could be it's going to happen, but you already did your hishtadlus, so you're in the wrong state of mind. Your mind is not in the right place. Your heart is not in the right place. You're frustrated. You're working out of frustration. It's not a mahalach. You know, if people have these long emails that they send, calm down. Hishtadlus, lange weiter. It's never the right thing. It's just frustration that brings it. It's not the right mahalach. Now, back to the yesod. So if ribu hishtadlus is something that's weird, it's not something that's supposed to happen. You're not supposed to, it's like saying, are you supposed to be losing it sometimes? No. But maybe I'm supposed to talk to a Talmud more strict, but you're not supposed to lose it. It's never the right thing, even for the right thing. A person's not supposed to lose it at the doctor either. You're not gaining anything by screaming at the asking, or by putting. People sometimes think, if I would have put my foot down, it's narish. Not only because Chachmas Chaim it doesn't work, but also because you're only doing it because you're believing in your hishtadlus. You're convinced that if you're going to write that in the email, if you're going to say that a bit more sharp, if you're going to say it again, then you're making something happen. And if we're at it in Bisograim, in parentheses, that's why, it's one of the reasons why iyumim, threats, even if it's said calmly, is not a mahalach of hishtadlus. Many people that they're working at a job and they want to raise, so they want to know, I want to hishtadlus. I should say, listen, I feel I need to get more. If you're not going to give me, again, I'm having bitochen on the Bernstein, but I think I'm going to have to go somewhere else. Why do you have to add that sentence? It's because you believe that that's what's going to make it happen. That's a mistake. That's a mistake. Even if that person's wrong, and even you're allowed to ask for a raise, but that last sentence comes from a place that you're trying to figure out, how do I make him? How do I push to? How do I make? You can't make it happen. That's a mistake. Especially the most people that threat, they're just using a tactic. No, it's not a mahalach. Even if you're right, it's because you're believing in the hishtadlus. Next, so let's go back. When a person is fundraising, okay, for its tzedakah case, or whatever it is, so they say, listen, it's not for myself. I'm not even getting percentage. I'm doing it just for the Rebbeinu Shlem, let's say. But if you are frustrated at that wealthy person, that last year he gave you kach v'kach, and you're like, you're not serious. I don't need your check. I don't need it. If you plan to give me that amount, you just take it. It's not a mahalach. Even if you're working for somebody else, even if you're trying to help someone, you're frustrated. You believe that he was supposed to give you kach v'kach. You forgot that everything's bashert, even when you're in the middle of doing a mitzvah. You're not in touch to what's happening right now, because you feel you can make it happen. Any mitzvah that you feel you can make results happen, you're off. Even if it's a mitzvah for somebody else. And the same is with over time, Zachen, that you're doing things that are wrong. You don't have Yeshiva Das. You're not davening because you're so busy running after a person. Now, if a person decides to learn an extra hour by night, a person could decide to do for Tzveite Yida Mitzvah Tov in the middle of the night an extra hour with Yeshiva Das. He says, I'm going to try to not overdo it. I should be able to serve Rebbeinu Shalom and not lose my marbles by not sleeping at night. But extra for Tzveite Yid, let me try to do something with Yeshiva Das, of course. If you could do it to learn an extra hour, you could do a mitzvah an extra hour. But not with a state of mind of making it happen. Never. So back to when it comes to Refuah, simple math. Could we make something happen that the Choyle should get a Refuah, make him back healthy? You can make things happen with Hishtadlus. And if that's the case, so first of all, the state of mind of yours, the running and hustling and not having lo yom v'lo laila because you're so busy with it, 90% of the time it's off. It's bichlal off. So why is it that people by Parnasa understand so simple that if I'm not home for Pesach, it's Ribu Hishtadlus, and by Refuah it's not like that, and as I. So first of all, the reason that people do more Hishtadlus by Refuah than by Parnasa, they spend more money and they travel and they'll do anything to try to get to Refuah. It usually doesn't come from the right place, b'chlal. People don't know. People are convinced that it's coming from the right place. Because what do you mean, pikuach nefesh? Pikuach nefesh. But it's a mistake. Kaloimer. Let's go step by step. Most people, the reason why by Parnasa they stop earlier on in the game, they say, listen, I tried what I could, and they b'shevet helfen. I did my Hishtadlus already. And by Refuah, they don't say that. They say, I didn't do my Hishtadlus. I think we should ask a third opinion, a fourth. There's a doctor somewhere out there. I didn't say yet that it's wrong, but I'm asking, why are people doing it? The reason why people are doing it is because by Parnasa, they don't feel that if they're not going to have this Parnasa, that it's game over. In the back of the mind, they're like, I'll figure it out. I anyways didn't want to work hard, right? So I'm extremely happy that that person said no. And they were helfen. They want to be home Pesach anyways. And as I invited, they don't want to work in the middle of the night. So if that person said no, I tried, I did mine, I gave in my resume, and I did my Hishtadlus. But then, if Chas v'Shalom was a health issue that comes up, then the person gets wild. Because it's not like, Oda yo, Oda nish. No. This is going to have to happen. It has to be Mesuda. So they get wild because it's more important for them. They're not listening to what the Rebbeinu Shalom said. It's coming from a place that I'm going to do, and I'm going to try everything in the world. I have someone that knows someone. So that's not a reason. That's not a mahalach. Again, we didn't set up yet the boundaries. What's the proper Hishtadlus? It might be the proper Hishtadlus is to do 1,000,000 pieces of Hishtadlus. Could be. We're asking, why do people go wild? The answer is not because, not everybody, I'm saying most of the times, not because they're in such a high madrega that they're not sure that they will yoy to the chiv Hishtadlus. Look in different areas in their life. They're not in the mood. I'll see tomorrow. It's just because right now I must make this happen. That's what's going through their mind.
And they're afraid also the responsibility. You didn't call that doctor? You didn't try him?
Sure, because so we're getting this mistake. We're back into this circle. That means I can make it happen. If I didn't call, then it's going to be my fault. And the person is not going to be moich himself the whole life. Maybe there was one thing I could have done. And if I did call, it's because I called and because I was smart enough to figure out you're not allowed to go to that hospital. You have to go to this one. So, because it's such a serious matter, so the person gets all worked up and gets all into it. And most of the times, they're doing it the wrong way. That means if they are doing the Hishtadlus, but they're not in the right matziv, if they're not going to be matzliach, they're going to be burning mad at the facility, at the doctor, at the medicine, or whatever, screaming. There's a whole, why is it such a sugya in the world of people that are hitting doctors, abuse, it has a name, no? I don't know. People you have, sometimes there's like a strike, the doctors in the hospital strike because there was a family, there was violence. What's the pshat? Why isn't such, usually by balabos it's not ad kedei kach, there's violence towards the employer. What the pshat is, because before the violence, the people were, okay, they also didn't sleep at night, noch a paar Sachen. But the pshat is that it has to happen. The person is vulnerable because it's gefährlich, the matziv. So there's no point. There's no hette for Ribi Hishtadlus ever. Nicht vayenim. Not when you're working for a mitzvah. Not when you're working for somebody else, and not when a person is in the sugya of refuah. If it's going to be categorized as Ribi Hishtadlus, and many things go into that category, then it's not beseder. And when it's not beseder, the person is losing siyata d'shmaya. They're going to be losing right away. It means not only not going to gain anything, they're also going to be losing because they're disconnecting, because they're busy with koich v'otzim yodi, because they forgot that everything is in the Baruch Hashem's hands, because they feel like it's pekuach nefesh. So what is this story? That means Ribi Hishtadlus is also. So, but lamaisa, let's go back to that question. After we know that Ribi Hishtadlus is never a mahalach, so let's go back to that question. So why is it that it is the right thing l'choira that if a person has to be in the hospital over Pesach, then there's no doubts. So the Seder Nacht will be in the hospital without a fachavin. It's the warm shooter. And we're not going to say the Rebbe Shem could bring the refuah here. I'm leaving the hospital. I'm being discharged. The doctor said that it's with a sakona. The Rebbe Shem that could give me a refuah in the hospital, give me a refuah in this house. No. But by money, most of the times, again, we're gonna tell someone, I think you're overdoing it. You should be home, and the Rebbe Shem is waiting to give you parnasa. Don't overdo it. So what's the pshat? I thought that it always has the same rules. So in order to understand how this works, we have to go back a little bit and understand what's the pshat that by food, when it comes to eating, every person eats every day. So forth. You eat. Refuah, it's not a day to day. Some people, sometimes, many people could go on 90%, 99% of their life not seeing a doctor. It's something it happens. It's not day to day. You don't live off that. So the Sforim explain based on the psukim in Parashas B'Shalach and in different areas in Torah that choili has to do with chatoim, with chet. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean always that you are wrong. You just did the biggest of it, and that's why you're in the hospital. And all the other guys that are jumping around having a good time, it's because they're such tzaddikim. Of course not, because of many reasons. It doesn't work like that exactly. Sometimes someone is born with a choili. Sometimes there's many different scenarios, but it has to do with chet. Sometimes it's for the chet from the klal. It doesn't have to be that it's your chet. Many times tzaddikim have to go through choili because of different chatoim. But we call it a shtickle mess up in the bria. Even food, there's a higher darga of mon, which you don't even have to go through the process. It's just something that's ruchnis that you put into your body, and it's moitzi machnas ve'ene moitzi. Even by food, there's such a musik. But in refuah, it's stronger. It's more obvious that something is wrong. Something is a shtickle broken. And that's what it is in the guf, which that's a sign. Something is a shtickle broken. Now, of course, like anything else, a person that is in a bigger madrega, so Hashem could show the person that something is broken quicker. Mashiach, and a person that's in a more shallow madrega will maybe not get the messages so quickly because they're not up to that madrega, like tzaddikim kochotasara. So, but it has to do, the choili has to do with something that's broken. To understand it noch better, a little bit, refuah will always come with uncomfortable, not being comfortable.
Side effects.
Yeah, but not only side effects. Going to the doctor, taking there's always, it's not comfortable. Food, it's something that could even be tainuk. You come to bar mitzvah, and want to give IV now for everybody. You come to bar mitzvah, you serve flesh. Eating is set up in a system that right now the person's doing something that's comfortable, something that's going along with the system. Refuah is something that you have to drop your Seder Hayom, you have to go take care of something. You have to go to the dentist. Oh, constantly it's such a mahal. You have to fix something. That's how it works. Because Refuah works that way, that's why Refuah, in its essence, in the way it's designed from the beginning, is the Refuah might need you to go somewhere else. Refuah is going to force you to go eat something else. Like the Alta Sadegher Rebbe, the son of the Heilige Vishnu, said that the Eibusha put in Chiyas in interesting grass and different tzmochim, plants. So how does Hashem make that a Yid should eat it, with it should be to be malet? The answer is that the person has to go to that place and the person has to eat a very, very interesting kind of plant to be able to get to their refuah, to cure themselves. Pshat is that's how refuah works. There's a system, and then now I need you to do. It's like a shtick of shlichus. Like a person has their day-to-day Seder Hayoim, and then they get called into office, and they say, "Okay, I want you to go down to that country." That's what it is. I want you to drop your Seder Hayoim and to be busy fixing now. It's like kiruv a little bit. That's how refuah works all the time. So the mitzias of the Hishtadlus is that sometimes they're not home for Pesach. The shliach for kiruv is also sometimes not home for Pesach.
By its nature, it's not.
By its nature, it's not, never. Refuah is never in the wrong. Look, so it's not ribu Hishtadlus. That's Hishtadlus. Imagine someone says, "I would do kiruv," but to go to Thailand, that's ribu Hishtadlus. I'm asking to kiruv here. By its nature, kiruv would mean, again, tzadikim am gezok. You could make, but the idea is not ribu Hishtadlus. You go there and you do what you need to take care. That's where the people are. That's where it is. That's where I could fix. It's the idea of refuah. So the doctor says that you need to do this. You need to eat that. Sometimes a diet that's very hard. A Seder Hayom that's very hard. But this is exactly how it works. It's not ribui. But once again, it could only not be ribui Hishtadlus if the person is doing it with the right state of mind. The person says, they wish to wanted me that there should be Pesach in Shari Tzedek Hospital. Okay, it takes time. Is to get you get it, but then you could have a beautiful Seder. Sometimes the person has to be in Boston. They wish to wanted a lot of Yishlaim families were yontiv in Boston. But they wish in Philadelphia, and why? Because that's the nature. They were sent on a shlichus. That's really be'emes what it is. That's what tzaddikim explained to us. Of course, the person understands that this shlich is I have to fix something. So they invest in, of course, besimcha, only besimcha, uplifting. Davish is talking. Davish wants to help me. Davish is bringing me to a better place. That's how you do it. But mainly, the cure is happening by the arum and arum, by the machshava, by the being in that place, by being mitak in this refuah. It doesn't have to do with your Hishtadlus. So the person is going to be in a different place, maybe. But Keren Welten, like they call it, to turn over the world. No. That's not a malach. They have to call it askin. They call it askin because that's what you got to do. But This takes us into a very sensitive area in the sugyas of Refuah, that there's a certain percentage. First, let's start with statistics. A certain percent of people that get cured from any machle, even the worst machles, without doing anything. It's a fact. You can check it up. They take groups, and they give for some of them the real medicine, and then the other one has a name placebo. I mean, there's nothing there. It looks exactly the same. It says sugar, doesn't have anything. And now there's more percentage. The vikuach is how much percent, but it's always in both groups people that got cured. Call it psychology, what, but it's a fact. There's always people that took the refuah and didn't make it. Always. It's a metzias. Meaning that the refuah, this is what was discussed last week in length. Refuah is be'emes. If it's derech ha'olam, then you should do it. But if it works, if it doesn't, it's always going to be like the doctor's always going to tell you, listen, sometimes they say 50-50, sometimes they say 80-20, sometimes they say 90-10, that's what they tell you. But this 90-10 is just the way how they're magdir. They don't know why it doesn't work always. But the individual person, if a person tells themselves, listen, it's a type of body, it's a biological zahina here, it's a mistake. The Torah made it easier for a person to have bitachon, in a certain sense, easier, but it's not per se, it's not black and white. That this is nicht. So you got to do, but the Hishtadlus of the person has to always be the nefesh of the person in the right matzav. Why? Because it's not that. If I'm going to start being boteach in the refuah, then it doesn't even make sense to be boteach in the refuah, even if I'm taking the refuah, like anything else. So Ribu Hishtadlus makes no sense, but the person getting into it makes no sense. Now, where's the sensitive part? That because people feel with this mistake that you got to do something, I can't just let the person die. So you got to do something. So because of that, many people kill. Because of that. Sorry for saying it that way, but it's simple math. That means this is like many times the doctor says, I don't know what to tell you. Because the body is too schwach to be able to handle the treatment. But the family members feel, but how can I not? What do you mean? Calm down. You're not in the right state of mind. Think, speak it over, not with emotion. Not with emotion. Many people had arichas yalma v'shonim because of that. Because of that. If the doctor says there's nothing what to do, it's explaining the sugi. It's not only discussing that specific scenario, but when the doctor says, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry to break the news, but I don't see it's something that's really going to help." I mean, you could try, but I don't know if I would tell you to try, because the side effects and it could do damage. There's nothing really what to do. So people go into hysteria. They go into panic mode. They go into panic mode. Now, because of this panic mode, so it's the same way. There's like win-win. So there's lose-lose matzav. What's the pshat? Because there's panic mode, many times what they do is they stuff the body with drugs and zachen, which make no sense because the doctor already said it makes no sense. But there's a 1% chance. But it's not there more than 1% chance. Yeah, but for that 1% chance, I'm not going to do it. That was a mistake. That's a mistake. Because if it's a 1% chance, that's like a 1. But if the doctor told you that I wouldn't dafka say you should do it, just, it is what it is. You don't want to be masking to it is what it is. You don't want to be masking. You feel you could change it. You feel because it's life and death, because of I can make it, you can't make anything happen. It's not derech ha'olam. Fine. Now, if a person would go like that, then it would be a win-win be'emes. Why would it be a win-win? Because mimon nafshach. Or there's no chiyuv hishtadlus, but it has nothing to do with the arichas yom of the person. It's just that the Torah told you there's no chiyuv hishtadlus right now. So the person could live arichas yom v'shonim. Like, it happens. Not because you want it so badly, it's just because the Rebbeinu Shalom wants him to live. As much as it is, it could be 5 years, it could be 10 years, whatever it is. It's a fact. The doctor said 6 weeks, it was 5 years. So it felt as every day this has happened. And even if not, the person could gesegen themselves from their family. The person could have the Yeshiva Das. It could be done on a Yiddish life. The main life is of Olam Elyon. There's a little bitty part. It's a proizda for the trakla. We believe in it. We have to chazer, we have to know it. It's Rabbeinu Tam from Sefer Yasha. We learned 2-3 years ago. A person has to prepare themselves from the beginning. This is the system of life. Nobody knows what's going to happen, but this is right now the Mahalach. Thank the Rebbeinu Shalom, Baruch Hashem, on all the things. Rabbi Victor Miller the night before was thanking the Rebbeinu Shalom and every son-in-law, all the milas from this child and from that child. He thought nobody's listening because the one that was in the room was making himself like he's sleeping. He was finishing to thank. I can't. He wrote on the tzavor, continue thanking. For me, I didn't finish. You know how beautiful that is. Why? Because the person doesn't get into a panic attack. Who says you got to do something? So many families have to make that decision. They have to make that decision. So of course, when Adam Godel, and every case is different. Every single case is different. But the state of mind, the panic, the Rebbeinu Shalom is going to do whatever he wants. The question is right now: is that Hishtadlus, or that is because I feel that I have to do something? That's a mistake. I feel I have to do something. You want to feel you have to do something, you could say Tehillim, you could daven, you could do things for a schus, but by just doping up people, because it comes from not the right place. And it happens even when people are, sometimes, again, it's very, very painful to discuss it, but sometimes it's when people have a shtickle issue. It's not who knows what. But that shtickle issue, the doctor said, this is not, with the heart, it's a shtickle schwach. So, if they would go to right malach, okay, there's a choyle. Choyle means, let's be more oisik and tshuva, let's chaparein to fix something, to be zich misboinen, kapitel tillen, that's number one. But sometimes people, the zugang is, I could make something happen differently. We could fix it. What's the problem? The mind went totally in to the technicals. It's a very big problem. It's a very big problem because that's Ribu Hishtadlus. The state of mind is Ribu Hishtadlus.
So there must be a doctor somewhere who can do it, even though his heart is weak.
Right. There must be somewhere a doctor that can do it, even though the heart is weak. Let's rake the phone book. Let's call it a fanaskin. There has to be something that you could do. It's already wrong. Right now, you're wrong. You're wrong because you're going in to a matziv of trying to fight the Rebbeinu Shalom. So you're losing twice. First of all, because you're not investing what's supposed to be invested in tshuva, in tveikus to Rebbeinu Shalom. And second of all, because you're going into koich v'otzim yadi, you are going into koich v'otzim very, very strong, even if you're doing it for a very beautiful purpose. But then you disconnect from Hashem, and many times it's chaval. Because the person could have lived. You were losing it. Now, so where to draw the line is, of course, the $1 million question. To say if you're mechuyev to try to look for a different doctor. But one yesod you could learn. And let's chazer that we mentioned in the shiurim a lot, but let's mention it again in a refuah shir. He's asking a question. Should I look for a second opinion? Should I go for a second doctor? The doctor said there's nothing where. Maybe I have what's you want to have some clarity, epis clarity. If you have a vikuach, argument with a shutef, with a partner in business, and you want to sit with him and give him a piece of your mind, but you have a conflict inside because you learned Chavis Alvavis. So you want to know, is it a Hishtadlus I should speak to my shutef, or is it not a Hishtadlus? One of the very clear answers is, right now, for sure not. If you learn more Chavis Alvavis, and you'll get to the matzah that you'll feel there's nothing to do with him, then you might be mutter to have a conversation with him. If you feel you're already in the right state of mind, not to get tangled into the vikuach. That's clear. Then talk to him. If you're not ready, don't talk to him. Why? Because you're going to get into kas. You're going to feel that you could change it. You're not going to be in a good matzav, and it's not going to be good. By money, people understand that if they learned a little bit over the chap. You want to try to look for a second opinion. Wait a minute. You're going into very sensitive areas of koich v'etzem yadi. So before you do that, stop. Bizach misboinen. That has nothing to do with it. Try to, in your mind, review this option, that option. I could get to the doctor and it's not going to work. I could not get to the doctor and it is going to work. Tshuva is always going to help. Tefillah is always going to help. But tefillah and the matzav of understanding, let's elevate ourselves. Let's use this matzav to up the game of emunah b'tochen. Then you can make a phone call. But before that, you're getting pulled in to that grosser challenge. Okay, let's leave it at that. The Yisoid Advorim, and then the details. Darf man sagen, sie hat das schon mal.